I was obsessed with the villainess from this novel I was reading. So obsessed, in fact, I started dreaming about her. In the dream, I held her. I kissed her. I even told her how sweet her lips were. Then the next morning, she was standing by my bed, staring down at me. Her lips were red and swollen. "From now on," she said, her voice sharp and cold like a blade of ice, "you're only allowed to kiss me. If you kiss anyone else, I'll chop you into pieces." The moment she spoke, I knew this had to be a dream. It all started with this new serialized novel I found on a fiction app. I got completely hooked on the second female lead, a dark, twisted, chronically ill girl from a powerful family, a fragile beauty with a vicious streak. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't be obsessed? Her name was Serafina Vance, a stunning high society heiress whose poor health made her an outcast. A walking tragedy no one wanted to get close to. She'd spent her entire childhood drowning in medicine. The author described her like this: Serafina felt their stares, a mix of pity and disgust. A familiar darkness coiled in her gut. This weak, useless body made them all shrink away like she was poison. If she could, she would gouge out their eyes herself, make them regret ever looking at her that way. I literally gasped reading that. God, I loved it. This was exactly my type. The poor, sick little thing who secretly wants to murder everyone. Sign me up, and you know what they say, what you obsess over by day, you dream of by night. So after finishing the latest chapter, I passed out. And there she was, the girl I couldn't stop thinking about. Serafina was dressed in a plain white dress. Her skin was so pale it looked like fine porcelain. She had that delicate, sickly kind of beauty that was impossible to ignore. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, eyes fixed on her own slender legs, expression unreadable. Did I care about the logic of it all? Nope, not even a little. I walked straight over to her. The skin under her eyes had a faint pink tint, a strange contrast to the power she held. A tiny red mole dotted the white column of her neck. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice low and cold. "Whoa," she talked. I ignored her question, my eyes tracing the line of her slim waist. I couldn't help it. She was perfect. Without another thought, and ignoring the slight tremble in her lashes, I wrapped my arms around her. I held her. I kissed her. I whispered nonsense like, "I love you so much, baby. Your lips are so sweet," like something straight out of a novel. She didn't resist. She didn't have the strength to. After I'd had my fill, I curled up beside her and drifted off into the best sleep of my life. Then morning came. My alarm for M class was about to go off. I blinked awake, still groggy, and saw Serafina Vance, standing over my bed, staring at me with cold, unforgiving eyes. Huh? What the hell? I flopped back onto the pillow, certain I was still dreaming. But then I shot my eyes open again. She was still there, still staring. Her lips were red and swollen, which strangely gave some life to her otherwise ghostly complexion. Her voice sliced through the silence like a winter chill. I noticed the dark circles under her eyes. That's when it hit me. Sat up suddenly and, acting on pure instinct, reached out and poked her cheek. Soft, cool. Oh crap. She's real. I actually crossed over. Her hand clamped gently but firmly around my neck. It was barely there, light as a breeze, but the threat behind it was unmistakable. "Have you touched me enough?" she asked. Her hand was freezing. Goosebumps shot up across my skin. I yanked my hand back, voice shaking. Yeah, I'm good." Serafina's eyes were like bottomless pits. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Not going to call me baby anymore?" Oh boy. Here we go. I took a deep breath and dared to meet her gaze. Her eyes were so stark, an intense contrast of black and white. Then it clicked. She wanted to kill me. She could have snapped my neck a dozen times last night while I was asleep. But she didn't. Wasn't it obvious? This poor, fragile girl, ostracized, no real friends, and last night I'd basically mauled her. She hadn't pushed me away, hadn't screamed, hadn't even resisted. It was clear. She was already head over heels for me. I was about to flash her a cocky little smile when suddenly her hand on my throat tightened. I couldn't breathe, air. Gone. Panic surged through me. My instincts kicked in and I shoved her away with all my strength. Thump. She stumbled back, hit the bed, and smacked her head against the wall with a dull sound. Then she went totally still. Oh God, what did I just do? She's so fragile. Did I just kill her? I scrambled over, finger trembling as I held it under her nose. Okay, breathing. Still alive, just unconscious. Now what? A terrible, selfish idea popped into my head. I leaned in closer, getting into position to give her CPR. Look, I've always known what I am, a shameless horn dog. But just as my lips were about to touch hers, a cool hand suddenly clamped over my mouth and pushed my face away. Serafina's eyes fluttered open. Her voice was hoarse. Didn't get enough last night? My face went red. I thought you were dead. Why were you faking it? Being shoved into a wall isn't exactly a moment I wanted to be conscious for, is it? She snapped, voice still cold. Right, awkward. I trailed off. Before I could say anything else, she gave me a sharp look. Help me up. I'd almost forgotten. She couldn't get up on her own. Too weak. I helped her sit up against the headboard. Her face was ashen. All right, she said, glaring at me. Talk. Who are you, and how the hell did you get into my room? And what did you do what you did? Last night, I just laid it all out. The novel, the dream, everything. She let out a cold snort. From another world. Makes sense. Otherwise, the Vance family security is a complete joke. I started to panic, terrified she was going to have me, arrested or committed. I had no cover story, no experience with this kind of thing. I waited for the verdict, but she just gave me a fleeting, dismissive glance. You still haven't answered the last question. Huh. So this entire interrogation, this whole cross-examination, was just so she could ask me why I kissed her? I looked at her, my voice full of all the sincerity I could muster. Because I like you. I'm here because of you. A faint blush crept across her pale cheeks. Hey, as college kids, we're all about radical honesty. After my confession, Serafina gave me a job, her personal bodyguard. Just like that, I was officially a resident of the Vance estate. I still had no idea how I got here. But when in Rome, right? Panicking wouldn't help. Besides, I could latch onto this rich girl's leg. I wouldn't starve, and I could even flirt with her a little. Not a bad deal. Serafina emerged in a white dress, her long raven hair pulled back loosely at her waist. I couldn't tear my eyes away. There's a gala tonight. Get ready. You're coming with me. You got it, boss. In the back of the silent, sleek town car, I sat perfectly still. Seeing me so quiet, she moved to the far corner with a cold smile. I looked over at her. What's wrong? The skin under her eyes was tinged with red, her jawline sharp and delicate. She stared down at her own thin wrist. Afraid you'll catch what I have, right? What? What happened? I quickly slid over next to her. Of course not. Don't you remember? I already kissed you. She looked straight ahead, her face a mask. Go away. Okay, I'll move back over. But that seemed to make her even angrier. She didn't say another word for the rest of the drive. This was going to be tricky. This girl wasn't just twisted, she was a goddamn enigma. We were at some charity gala in the city. As I watched a regal woman in a black gown take her seat at the head table, I suddenly realized this was the one. Just finished reading. This was where the novel's heroine, a rising political star, meets the male lead. It was also where the second female lead, Serafina, gets publicly humiliated, until the male lead steps in to defend her. That was the moment she started to see him differently. Well, not today, not on my watch. I'd like to see anyone try and bully her with me around. I stood behind Serafina as she took a seat near the front. Her father was a senator, after all. She had rank. As I scanned the room, I saw all the big names from the city's elite. The one who was supposed to humiliate Sarah was Tiffany Sterling, the illegitimate daughter of the heroine's father. A nasty piece of work who just loved to start trouble. Dressed in a gaudy yellow dress, Tiffany saw Serafina sit down and made a show of waving her hand in front of her face. Her voice dripped with venom. I hope her condition isn't contagious. The chatter around us died instantly. I could hear snickers from every direction. Serafina, small and fragile in her chair, showed no emotion on her nearly colorless face. I quickly swallowed the last bite of the mini quiche Sarah had handed me. All right, you want to mess with my girl? Get ready to feel the wrath of the 21st century. I leaned down and covered Serafina's ears, then shouted at the top of my lungs, Lala! I can't hear you. A is speaking gibberish. Tiffany sneered. Am I wrong? Ask anyone here who wants to risk their health just by being near her? I looked at her and said in a perfectly calm and articulate voice, You're right. You're absolutely right. Then I clapped my hands back over Serafina's ears. La still can't hear you. The crowd went silent for a second. Tiffany's face turned a sickly green. Is this lunatic? She sputtered. I strode right up to her, grabbed her by the shoulders, stuck my tongue out and tilted my head. Am I crazy? Huh? Do I look crazy to you? She shrieked and shoved me away. Get off me! Don't touch me! I then turned to her assistant. I got right in her face, my hands splayed out by my ears. Am I crazy? Am I mentally unwell? Get away from me. He's having an episode. Miss Sterling, help! As the two of them scrambled to hide under their table, I pulled my tongue back in and calmly walked back to Serafina's side. The entire ballroom was dead silent. After a long moment, Tiffany crawled out from under the table. I gave her a crooked, triumphant smirk. For the rest of the evening, Tiffany kept her head down. In fact, no one said another damn word. The entire party just went silent. On the way back to the estate in the car, Serafina crossed her long legs and leaned against the plush leather seat. Are people where you're from all like that? Her lips were slightly parted, her dark eyes fixed on me. I thought about my dorm mates back at college and nodded with grave seriousness. Most of them, yeah, but not all. Serafina fell silent again. After a while, her cold voice filled the space. So you've treated a lot of people the way you treated me. Her expression was unreadable as she huddled in her corner. Suddenly, the car felt freezing. I slid over next to her and took her wrist, just like I had that first night. Baby, I said, my voice low and intense. I only do this for you. I saw a flicker of something, desire, in the depths of her cold eyes. Just then, the car slowed to a stop. Serafina pulled her wrist free and took a deep, shuddering breath. Get out! Huh? What, did I even sit on her? We got out of the car one after the other. As I stepped out, I missed the curb and stumbled. Luckily, Maya, Serafina's other bodyguard, caught me. Maya was an ex-Marine, built like a tank and fiercely loyal. She was Serafina's rock. In the book, the author hadn't gotten to her backstory yet, but I figured she was the one who physically supported Serafina, because damn, she looked strong. Do you two need a moment? Serafina's voice was laced with acid. I immediately let go of Maya's arm and rushed to Serafina's side. Baby, what's wrong now? She ignored me and stalked toward the house. Maya stopped me. Leo, do you really like her, Miss Vance? It clicked. Of course I do. Didn't you hear us in the car just now? Maya cleared her throat. As a trained professional, she probably heard everything. Leo, I don't listen to everything, and my hearing isn't that good. It's just, you and Miss Vance were a little loud. Oh, right. Haha. How embarrassing. Leo, I just hope you be good to her, Miss Vance. Before Maya could finish, I saw Serafina standing in the doorway. Her eyes were like daggers, a chilling frost in her gaze fixed on me and Maya. I knew that look. Pure jealousy. I abandoned Maya and sprinted toward the door. She ran, I chased. But in the end, she slammed her bedroom door in my face and locked it. No matter what I said, she wouldn't let me in. I was left to pace around her private courtyard. The Vances only had one child, Serafina, because she'd been sick her whole life. She had a staff of dozens, if not hundreds, to pray for her health. Her mother spent half the year at a spiritual retreat in the mountains. Her father, the senator, was consumed by his work in D.C., leaving early and coming home late. I never even met him. With nothing better to do, I started chatting with some of the security guys on duty. They told me stories about the city's high society gossip. A few hours passed. As dusk fell, I went back to Serafina's door. I found her standing outside, wearing only a thin nightgown. She was shrouded in the growing darkness, her eyes black as ink, radiating a palpable sense of dread. I cautiously approached her. "What's wrong?" She looked at me. "What's wrong, Leo? You said you like me." I do. What did I do?" "I saw everything. At 1:15 p.m. at the gala, you're making eyes at the senator's daughter across the table. At 3 p.m., right in front of me, Maya helped you up, and you stared at her for a full minute. After I left, you two had a very pleasant chat, and you even smiled at her. At 5 p.m., you were completely engrossed in a conversation with that woman who sweeps the courtyard. She picked up the napkin you dropped, and when you took it back, you gave her a thumbs up. The corners of her eyes were red. She recited my every move like a prosecutor, her expression already bordering on pathological. Her face a mask of dark obsession. A shiver ran down my spine, but it wasn't fear, it was excitement. God, I love this. This is amazing. I took her arm. "Let's talk inside," I whispered. Her lips were pale and she let me take her hand, her expression almost numb. Inside the quiet room, I hooked my pinky around hers and whispered sweet nothings in her ear. "Baby, I'll prove it to you." The night was deep, and the girl of my dreams was right here beside me, letting me take whatever I wanted. Her slender hand clutched in my sleeve, her grip tightening and tightening. I stared at her pale, delicate fingers, a blush creeping up my face. We'd gone all the way. Surely she would want to marry me now. I watched her sleep, my heart soaring. But when Serafina woke up, she was a different person. She propped herself up, her lashes trembling. I reached for her hand. "Baby." All I got in return was a cold, "Get out." I draped my arm around her neck, my voice soft and coaxing. "Baby, what's wrong now?" Her dark hair cascaded around her shoulders. She kept her gaze lowered. "If you don't leave, I will." I quickly stopped her from getting up. This girl, she knew I had a soft spot for her. Fine. A real man knows when to bend. Out is out. Besides, I had to use the bathroom anyway. I got dressed and left without a moment's hesitation. Walking down the long hallway, I got angrier the more I thought about it. How could you just flip? Like that after last night? How could she be so cold today? I couldn't figure it out for days. Serafina, that beautiful, twisted enigma, was distant, refusing to let me near her. I was zoning out, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong, when Maya approached me holding a small shopping bag. "Leo, want to go out for a bit?" I was stunned. Just the two of us? Serafina would lose her mind. "Don't worry, Leo. Miss Vance sent me. Please." I thought about it for a second, then followed Maya out of the Vance estate. As we reached the main gate, I had a strange feeling and glanced back, but I saw nothing. I trailed behind Maya through the bustling streets of the city, taking in the noisy crowds and street vendors. Throughout our walk, Maya kept saying odd things. "Leo, that watch looks really handsome on you." "Leo, what do you think of me?" "Leo, it's crowded here. You should hold my hand." I frowned. But then it dawned on me. Given Serafina's level of paranoia, ordering Maya to seduce me was exactly the kind of thing she'd do. "All right. You want to test me? I'll give you a performance you won't forget." I plastered on a fake smile and played along. "You know, I think you're pretty into me too, right? And you got a great body. Definitely look like you could handle more. Then Sarah? Sure, I'll hold your hand tight. Wow, you really are in great shape. As I expected, Maya's face froze. But she just sighed and led me to an upscale restaurant in a private room. Isabel Sterling, the powerful political scion from the gala, sat waiting, an air of unmistakable authority about her. I was floored. I quickly offered a respectful nod. Isabel graciously gestured for me to sit beside her. A wild idea started forming in my mind. I deliberately leaned closer to Isabel, making sure Mia could see. Miss Sterling, I'd like to speak with you alone for a moment. Isabel looked at me with interest, then waved a hand, dismissing Mia. My hand was sweating. I felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach. I know who you are, Isabel said. The interesting man from the gala. Not exactly how I wanted to be, remembered, but I didn't have time for witty banter. I leaned in and asked quietly, Ma'am, did Serafina send you? What did she offer you? Isabel smiled softly. You're sharp. As for her offer, the full and unconditional support of the Vance family. In the story, even though Isabel was from a powerful family, there were plenty of rivals trying to knock her off her perch as the heir apparent. The Vances only had Serafina, but her uncle was General Wong, a decorated war hero. The Wong family was huge, and all the kids of this generation were brilliant and successful. The Vances' support was one thing, but the backing of the Wong dynasty, that was the real prize. Even though I didn't know how the novel ended, I knew Isabel, as the heroine, was destined to win. My heart hammered in my chest. What did she say? You don't need to. Worry about that. I'll take care of you. Come with me. You can live in my estate and I'll protect you for the rest of your life. Isabel nodded, satisfied, and tapped a rhythmic beat on the table with her index finger. A moment later, Maya came back in and respectfully handed me a cloth bag. Miss Sterling, Leo, I'll be going now. I sat there, frozen. I opened the bag. Inside was a stack of cash and a single branch from a cherry blossom tree. The pale pink blossoms reminded me of Serafina. No, this wasn't the time for that. I looked at Isabel and sighed. Ma'am, please don't mess with me. It was ridiculous. As the heroine of the story, Isabel could have conquered the world without the Vances or the Wongs. Her own strength was more than enough. Isabel finally raised an eyebrow. Then you'd better get back to the Vance estate. Serafina is probably stewing in her own misery by now. I clutched the cherry blossom branch. Why would she do this? Isabel's gaze softened and she sighed. Leo, everyone in the city knows Serafina Vance won't live to see 30. We used to play together as kids, but then she just shut herself away in that mansion. Wouldn't go out. Wouldn't see me. This is the first time she's reached out to me in years, and it was to ask me to take care of you. She barely ever leaves the house. That gala was a rare exception. I genuinely hope you can be the one to save her. Hearing that, I grabbed the bag and bolted out of the restaurant, shouting over my shoulder, Miss Sterling, we'll talk later, it's an emergency. On the run back to the estate, I was furious. How could Serafina just give me away without my permission? Am I some kind of object? But my eyes were also burning with tears. Was it because she knew she didn't have long, so she didn't want me to waste my time on her? Serafina, you magnificent, lovesick fool. I stood outside her room and heard Mia's voice. Miss, it's all been arranged. Leo should be with Miss Sterling now. A long silence, then Serafina's low voice. Good. You can go. I was hiding by the door when Maya came out. She jumped, startled to see me. I quickly put a finger to my lips to shush her. Her eyes lit up and she scurried away. I gently pushed the door open. The same cold voice greeted me. Didn't I tell you to leave? Serafina was leaning against her bed, her dark hair tumbling down to her thin waist. I walked toward her step by step. When I was almost beside her, she turned her head, her voice sharp. Leo, what are you doing? She froze, her throat catching on a sob. For days, Serafina hadn't let me get within arm's reach of her. Now that I was this close, I could finally see her face clearly. It was completely drained of color. The exhaustion in her eyes was impossible to miss, and her eyelids were red and swollen. She'd been crying. Her eyes trembled. Her voice was a whisper. "Why did you come back?" "Serafina, you're going to give me away to Isabel. Why do you have to hand me over to someone else? What do you think I am?" A fresh wave of mist filled her eyes. Her voice was low and shaky. "I had Maya try to seduce you, and you praised her. You held her hand. I didn't give you to Isabel. I just saw you two flirting. I thought you were interested in her, so I gave you a chance to be alone. And it was true. You two were laughing, whispering secrets." As she spoke, she was seized by a coughing fit, and a trickle of blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. I rushed to her side, but she held up a hand to stop me. "But maybe it's for the best. You're from another world. After I'm gone, you'll have someone to protect you." Her expression was already feverish, her words broken. "Leo, I don't want you to love me, but I can't bear to see you love anyone else. I push you away, and then I pray you'll come back." She frantically wiped the blood from her lips, her cheeks already stained with tears. "This mess. I didn't want you to see me like this." Low choke turned into a broken, desperate sob. "Serafina, you beautiful, tragic, crazy girl." I leaned in and kissed her lips, a kiss full of reverence and pain, tasting the metallic tang of her blood. Then I called for Maya. A team of doctors rushed into the room. I leaned against the doorframe outside, staring down at my hand, stained with Serafina's blood, lost in a daze. I had treated this whole thing like a game, casually seducing Serafina without ever considering how heavy the love of someone so dark and broken could be. I never thought about how cruel it was to give hope to someone who was terrified of dying. I had casually told Serafina I loved her, never once thinking about her reality, her state of mind. When I was angry with her, she sat alone in a cold room for hours. When I was friendly with someone else, she cried herself to sleep. She had planned a future for me, even though she herself was desperately alone, her own future hanging by a thread. The doctors came out, their faces grim, but Mia told me it was just stress and anxiety causing a flare-up. I nodded and quietly told Maya I wanted to meet Serafina's parents. While I went back into the room, she turned her head to look at me. I sat by her side, taking in her pale lips and red-rimmed eyes. "Leo, hold me. Kiss me. Please." This fragile girl was about to shatter. I held her, and she pushed me away. I kissed her, and she cried. "Leo, don't stay with me. Go. Get out." "I'm not going anywhere," I said, my voice firm. "If you don't go, I will." "Enough talk. Shut your mouth." I kissed her. That's all there was to it. I finally understood. When Serafina told me to leave, she was really asking me to kiss her. "But I'm going to die," she whispered. "You'll die. I'll die. It's just a matter of sooner or later." "So what?" "Leo, I can't marry you. If you won't marry me, I'll marry you. I don't care. We're getting married. Leo, you'll be a widower. I'm good with that. Rich and free. What's it to you? Leo, do you love me? I love you. I came here for you. How long will you love me? Until the day you die. And after I die? See, oh crap, slip of the tongue. To my surprise, Serafina didn't get mad. For the first time, she managed a real smile, her eyes curving into crescents. Loving me that long is enough. My nose tingled. A lump formed in my throat. Hey, author, I thought, can Serafina please not die? Even if she's dark and mean and crazy, can she please live? I really, really love her. The day I met her parents, I dressed up. Serafina wore a pale lavender dress, a soft tenderness in her eyes that I hadn't seen before. After we'd cleared the air, she started dragging me out of the house every day. The sickly pallor seemed to have been washed from her face. Leo, my father's name is Stephen. He's very quiet and intimidating. My mother is Catherine. She doesn't talk much either, but she's less scary. I squeezed her hand and nodded. But when I actually met them, I realized Serafina's quiet and intimidating were massive understatements. After the initial greetings, we all sat at a large round table in complete, suffocating silence. It felt like a board meeting. I cleared my throat and boldly announced, "Sir, ma'am, I want to marry Serafina." Her father and mother nodded in unison. "Okay, good. You have our blessing." My eyes went wide. "That's it? You're not going to say anything else?" The silence was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Finally, Serafina spoke up. "Father, mother, Leo and I will take our leave now." Again, in unison. "Okay, good. You're excused." But the second we stepped out the door, we heard them start talking. I pulled Serafina back to listen at the door. "Stephen, our Sarah is getting married and she looks so much healthier. I just love our new son-in-law. He called me ma'am. He called me sir too. Ha ha. We have to make sure Sarah's wedding is the event of the century." I hooked my pinky with Serafina's and grinned. "Your parents are pretty shy, huh?" She was quiet for a long time. Leo, I always thought they didn't love me. Mom is gone for months at a time, and Dad almost never comes to see me. I understood that feeling completely. I loved Serafina so much, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her the full depth of it. I knew her time was short, that she was already carrying so much. I couldn't add the weight of my overwhelming emotions to her burden. Was a love that heavy a comfort or a curse? So I loved her in a quiet, steady way. It was obvious her parents felt the same. They both love you so much. You're so lucky. "Yes," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I am. I'm so happy, Leo. I love you so much. I love you too. Just a little bit more than you love me." "Are you sure it's only a little bit?" The wedding happened fast. I remember Isabel. Sterling was there. Serafina raised a glass to her and called her Izzy. Isabel, who was always so composed, got red-eyed and drank herself into a stupor. The two childhood friends had finally made their peace. That night, in our room, I lifted Serafina's veil. She was dressed in a stunning red gown, her dark hair piled high, her eyes as deep and dark as ink. After we had some champagne, she shyly called me husband, and I whispered wife back to her. Because of her health, I just watched her by the flickering candlelight, my heart melting. The night sky was a hazy dream. I held her hand and waited for the dawn, completely missing the single tear that slipped from the corner of her eye. I never would have guessed that it would be our last night of true, unburdened joy. A few days later, Serafina fell into a coma. Ethamaya finally told me the truth. Serafina's body had been failing for a long time. The day she coughed up blood, she was already at the end of her rope. She'd hidden it from me. Her recent good health, the glow in her cheeks. It was all a final rally before the end. Her parents offered faint smiles that looked more painful than tears. She wasn't supposed to live to 30, but Serafina was only 20. I thought I had 10 years. I never imagined that 10 years was the best-case scenario. I went with her mother to the mountain retreat and had Serafina moved there as well. I was terrified I would miss her last moments. Who had never believed in anything, prayed on my knees for her. That winter, the snow fell hard and heavy. Standing in the blizzard, I thought of an old saying. They say if you share the same snowfall, you've shared a lifetime. I wanted to grow old with her, but Serafina just lay there perfectly still. It was the third day. The doctors who came to see her looked grimmer each time. They might as well have had "no hope" tattooed on their foreheads. Her mother and I would sit together, but we never spoke. One day, watching the snowfall, she said, "You know, I've imagined this moment so many times. One person's illness tortures so many people who love them. I'm afraid for her to die. but I'm also afraid of her suffering just to stay alive. I try to numb myself to it every single day while, at the same time, praying to whatever's out there to let me keep my husband, my child, my best friends just a little bit longer. Maybe it was the power of that faith, because Serafina woke up. The first thing she said was, "Leo, I'm sorry you had to worry." "I'm your husband," I corrected her. "Leo, I'm not going to get better. You shouldn't be my husband." I didn't say anything. I just held her hand stubbornly. I wanted to take her out to feel the snow. She looked down. "Let's not grow old together, Leo. You still have such a long life ahead of you." I tried a different tactic. "I can't even see what you look like with white hair. I'll never get to see it." Serafina dropped the act. She started to sob, her voice choked. "Leo, I don't want to die. I really want to see you with white hair. I want to grow old with you." I helped her up, and we walked outside into the endless expanse of white. "Leo, did the snow touch me?" It did. "We've grown old together now." "Leo, do you love me?" "I love you. I came here for you." "Will you go back to your world?" "I don't know, but I'll stay with you." "How long will you stay with me?" "For a long, long time." "How long will you love me?" "For a long, long time." "How long is that?" "Until the day I die." "Leo, please stop loving me." "No, I love you and I'm going to keep loving you." "Leo, don't stay with me. I'm staying. I'm staying right here, forever. I can't see the snow anymore. I can't see it either. I can't see anything anymore." My own vision was blurred with tears. "I love you so much, baby. I love you so much, Serafina. Why aren't you talking?" I kissed her pale lips, letting the snowflakes collect in her hair. "Serafina, so this is what you look like when you're old. Can you please not leave me? Please don't go. Serafina, are you leaving me all alone?" "I'm going to go find Maya. I'm going to go find Isabel." "Fine. So you weren't pretending to be asleep." "Serafina, I really don't have a wife anymore." That spring, the president died. Isabel Sterling was sworn into office. Senator Stephen Vance resigned his seat and retired to the countryside with his wife. I woke up, my face drenched in tears. The serialized novel I'd been reading was never updated again. The author seemed to have abandoned it. After that, I dreamed often. But a dream is just a dream, empty, traceless, a fleeting encounter in the dead of night. One day, at my lowest point, I remembered a crazy urban legend, 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. I whispered her name. Serafina. 2 syllables. Every letter burned into my soul. Spring came. A single cherry blossom petal drifted down and landed in the palm of my hand. I stared at the blooming tree, frozen for a long moment, and then I broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. It was all me.